Hello, everybody. It's the Quintel Kickoff Show in our Centier Bank Studios. Thank you for joining us and making us a part of your Friday night. I'm Jack Theo, alongside me, Mike DeWan, Zach Snelling, producing today's show. It's sectional championship night. We have 3 game night built by Von Tobels, which you'll be able to view on the ihsaaTV.org website. We've been posting the link periodically today for you to view, so just click that link for whichever game you want to watch, and it'll take you right to the website. But we have a special start time, Handover Central at West Lafayette. We'll be live at about 6 o'clock, which is in about 30 minutes. Kickoff for that game is 6:30. Then we have Lake Central at Crown Point. That's your regular 7 o'clock kickoff. We'll be live at 6:30. And then Michigan City and Velpo kickoff 7 o'clock, start time at 6:30. So 3 games. One game starts a half an hour ahead of the other 2, but still 3 great game nights built by Von Tobel. Sectional championship night, Mike. It's kind of weird to think that we are already here. Seems like yesterday we were talking about week 4 in high school football, but sectional championships, a lot of great games on hand. We have a lot of great scores that will keep you updated on our hometown scoreboard, courtesy of our friends from Strack and Van Til. It's going to be the Bremen Lions and the LaVille Lancers. You have the Hanover Central Wildcats against the West Lafayette Red Devils. Once again, a game night built by Von Tobel. Lake Central at Crown Point, another game night built by Von Tobel. You have Maryville and Morton. You have Michigan City and Velpo. That's our 3rd game night built by Von Tobel. You'll have New Prairie at Culver Academy, and you have North Judson at Triton. We'll talk about a 3 game night built by Von Tobels later in the show, but for right now, we're going to talk about one of the games that is going to be very intriguing. And if you watched Region Football Weekly last night, I was kind of hyped up about this matchup just because of all the star talent on the field. It's going to be Maryville at Morton. Maryville, one of the best defenses in the area. For Morton, they haven't lost a home game all year. We've talked about how electric their offense is. The defense has had its woes over the year, but this is one of those classic matchups you see, whether it's college or NFL, where it's like you've got the number 1 defense in a way, other than Crown Point, and then you got probably the number 1 offense, other than Crown Point as well. But it's still a lot of star talent. We go on the Hammond Morton side of things. You got LeBron Hill, you got Dontrell Harris, you got Holland Harris, you got DeMario Spence, Freddie Brown, Jeremiah Jordan, or I guess it's for Maryville, Jeremiah Jordan, Dante Pope, J.Q. Johnson, John Peters, Jalen Ramsey, Terrell Elmore, Trey Stevens. I can keep going on and on like a long grocery receipt. But nevertheless, this is still a great game. And I feel like this is one of those games where we're going to talk about for a while because, like I said, you have a stifling defense in Maryville who held Munster to their lowest total last week, a team that's ran that wishbone offense almost to perfection. This is one of their better years in recent memory. Yeah. And then for Morton, this is an offense that's probably more explosive than years past. Mac Mishler has done a great job with his team. He's really set them up for success. And over the course of the past weeks, we've seen them really dominate. They've outscored, I believe, their last 4 or 5 wins, 200-17.
Not bad.
Now, we do know the defense has its woes. You go back to that Hobart game where they were up, I believe, 20-6 it was in the second quarter, and then all of a sudden their defense just couldn't make a stop if their life depended on it. And that's really what's going to be the big question mark for the Governors, is if they can make those crucial stops when needed. Now, they didn't make them last week against Hammond Central. Deshaun Woods, one of the best running backs in the area, did play, and he only had 1 big touchdown. Yeah. It was 52-6, I believe, the final score. But this is a game where you're really going to have to test your defense in the Pirates, and you're really going to have to test your offense in the Governors.
Yeah, I think for Morton, that's the name of the game. They have to put up some points on the board. Maryville offense, again, we've talked about the roller coaster ride of them, and at least their offense, that they score a lot of points one week, and next week maybe not so much. So I think with the way both offenses are playing great, they both scored over, I think, 49 points last week in their sectional openers, and they're playing good ball at the right times. But this is definitely a championship-worthy game between these 2 talented rosters. A lot of guys that are going to probably be playing on Saturdays and who knows, maybe even Sundays with the talent we're seeing here in Northwest Indiana. And yeah, I think for Morton, their offense has to keep it going. I think they are a lot more important to this game than Maryville's offense. We know how fantastic Maryville's defense is, and they're always going to keep them in games. But Morton, they have to try and win that battle against that Maryville defense. It's going to be a tough call, and Morton's defense could probably only hold up so much against Maryville's offense, who's playing fantastic at the right time. But if Morton could find anything to penetrate that Maryville defense. They'll take whatever they can get, and they're probably going to need all the points they can get against this Maryville offense and just team in general.
It's an interesting matchup because even if it is a shootout, you still like the Pirates' chances because they as well have a prolific offense. You go to Dante Pope, J.Q. Johnson, John Peters. Those three guys have been huge this year, especially Dante Pope and J.Q. Johnson. They had a huge start to the year.
Right.
So even if it is a shootout, you really like the Pirates' chances. Now for Maryville, their defense and all of their wins have only given up 13 points or less. And 6 of those 8 wins, they only gave up single-digit points. And those are some of the best offenses we've seen in the area. So the Pirates, Governors going at it. The winner of that game will play the winner of one of our game nights built by Von Tobel. But we're going to talk about which matchup that is after the break here on the Quintel Kickoff Show in our Centier Bank Studios. You're watching us on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Update your kitchen or bathroom with Von Tobel. Get 20% off select cabinets now through October 28th. Von Tobel has cabinets and vanities in a range of styles and colors. Plus, built-in storage, countertops, and flooring. Our designers will help you find the perfect selections for your style and budget. Scan to visit VonTobels.com today to book your free consultation at one of our 4 Indiana showrooms. Von Tobel. Building better together.
Quintel Incorporated is a family-owned and operated company located in Northwest Indiana that specializes in the reconditioning, repair, and remanufacturing of heat exchangers. Since 1994, Quintel has been handling jobs of all sizes throughout the country. Equipped with the most modern technology and advanced tools, Quintel provides top-notch service. When you trust Quintel for all your needs, you'll get peace of mind and a finished job that exceeds your expectations. For more info about Quintel and the services they provide, visit quintel-inc.com.
When life takes you places and you can't get to the store, shop online with Strack and Van Til To Go. Our to-go service is easy to use and it can save you time and money. Once your order is in, our own Strack and Van Til team preps your order with care. For delivery or pickup, enjoy the convenience of letting our to-go team shop for you. Enjoy your special moments. Sign up online today at shop.strackandvantil.com.
Hi, I'm Crowell Company's Lantern Man. I'll cover your motorcycle. I'll be with you on the water. I'll be with you on the snow. I'll cover your insurance needs wherever you go. I'll be at Crowell Agency from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. As Crowell Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowell Companies, the insurance professionals in Highland, Maryville, and Michigan City.
From schools to stadiums, hospitals, and bridges, everywhere you look, union carpenters are building Indiana. With jobs and skilled trades in high demand, there's never been a better time to start building your future. As an apprentice, you'll earn a debt-free college degree, earn while you learn, and receive great benefits like healthcare and retirement. So what are you waiting for? Visit carpenters.com to learn more. Visit carpenters.com and start building your future today.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
Back here in the Quintel Kickoff Show in our Centier Bank Studios. Now it's time to talk about our first game night built by Von Tobel. It's going to be Michigan City at Velp. Now this one has a 7 o'clock kickoff. 6:30 will be live from Viking Field. We talked about Morton and Maryville. Those two will play the winner of this matchup. It's a DAC rematch. The Vikings got the best of the Wolves this past regular season. Now we did get great news. Tyler Bush, the quarterback for Michigan City, is cleared to play in tonight's game. Now if you're just joining us or you didn't know why, against LaPorte last week, unfortunately he was stretchered off the field. But fortunately, he had a quick recovery. He seems to be okay, and really John Peters reported it on Twitter that he is cleared to play in tonight's game. So a huge sigh of relief, not just for Michigan City, but I believe the whole football community. I believe that.
Sure.
I mean, that was a huge scare to see. You never want to see that on a football field. You see it on TV, but when you see it live in person, it really hits you deep in the heart. So we're really glad to see Tyler Bush sing okay, and a big thank you to everybody who has kept us updated with his health and his progression throughout the week. Still a great game on hand for Michigan City. This is a team that's playing some of their best football. Close one against LaPorte, I guess, 6-5, something you don't really see. For the Vikings, they had a bit of a scare themselves against Chesterton. They were down 14-3 at halftime, but were able to score all the points in the second half. They shut out Chesterton in the second half.
28 unanswered.
Yeah, 28 unanswered points for the Vikings. It was the running game. Justin Clark didn't really have to do much passing. But for Michigan City, let's start with them. This is a team that, like we said, is playing better football, a rough start to the year. They've got Tyler Bush, who is cleared to play, the Syracuse commit, Jaden Hart, and 4 prolific receivers who can make great plays on the field: Kyron Hart, Benjamin Martin, Elijah Collins, and Cameron Bell. You don't see an offense, especially in Northwest Indiana, that can spread it like they do with 4 receivers, and you still have Jaden Hart in the backfield. But for the Vikings, look, they might not win in the most attractive ways. You know, you get those ugly wins, and I think last week was one of those against Chesterton. But it's still a team that knows how to win. They've been in this situation, obviously, winning the state championship last year. And although Justin Clark is not that quarterback that's going to throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, he is still that quarterback that has that playoff experience, that has that late game experience when you need it. Although, like I said, although he's not going to throw 500, 400 yards, he still is going to be able to gain control and just manage everything going on around them. I mean, down 14-3, you saw it last week. They didn't panic. They came out and really just punched Chesterton in the face and said, look, football's 2 halves. It's not just 1 half. You won the first half, but we'll take the second half and a chance at the sectional championship. We've also talked about how it means a little more because there's hardware now involved if you win this game, but still a great match between 2 DAC opponents. For the Vikings, it's going to be important to establish that run game. And for Michigan City, I think it's just going to be important to establish the offense as a whole, because we've seen when this offense gets going, it's very hard to stop.
Yeah, you got to. I think you got to win this game with your offense a little bit. Velp, again, with them running the ball, that means the clock's going to be chewed a little bit, so you got to kind of put some points up the board. You may not have many drives as you typically would in a game against another DAC opponent. You have to get, when you have an opportunity to score for a Michigan City offense, you have to take that opportunity and put some points up on the board against a pretty solid Velpo defense, but an offense that will chew the clock and will make this game go by a lot quicker. And before you know it, the final whistle will blow and hardware is going to be given out to the wrong side. But for City, it's, again, you mentioned Tyler Bush. It is, again, thank you for the reporting, and again, all the people that were involved in, again, getting him into a smooth recovery and just getting him, at the scene of when it happened and all that. So again, we give plenty of thanks for that. But it's a great guy to have back there. Again, this is a battle between 2 very experienced senior quarterbacks who want to lay it all on the line for their team come the night. It's going to be a fun one, I think. It's not going to be a similar one to what we saw a couple weeks ago. Again, for City, kind of harping on them a little bit more, it's their offense. Again, when you have an opportunity, you have to take advantage of it. What they did last game, they drove down a little bit. Again, kind of spreading the ball around, throwing it, running it, whatever they could do. Unlike Velp, who was kind of more run the ball, but City, again, a lot of red zone opportunities, I think, and they just kind of gave the ball away a little bit or couldn't convert. And for Velpo, again, I don't expect them to do much different. It's defense and run the ball, old school football. And, I mean, again, they have the experience a little bit more than City, I think. It's, 6 straight sectional championship game appearance. Of course, playing 15 games last year definitely helps, especially with the senior quarterback and Berta, who put up numbers, although he was, the backup for that playoff run. They have a lot of playmakers that were on that state championship team. And, again, they just know what it takes, and that's why I think this team is just set up to, again, no matter who they play, they just have guys that know what it takes to ultimately get another ring. So.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Like we said, both teams kind of playing their best football of the year. For the Vikings, they've won 7 of their last 8. They're 4-1 at home, and when they truly do play Viking football, it's against those Northwest Indiana teams. And for the Wolves, don't count them out. They're 4-5 in their last 5 games, and they're 4-2 on the road. Once again, it's their game night built by Von Tobel. Will be live from Viking Field at 6:30. Kickoff is slated for 7 o'clock. We're going to take a break here on the Quintel Kickoff Show, and when we come back, we'll talk about our second game night built by Von Tobel. But you're watching this on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Have you checked out Center Bank's student checking account? This no-fee checking account is perfect for students and teens ages 14 to 24 and comes with all the features you need to succeed, such as a debit card, digital banking, and automatic deposit. Sentier Bank can help you start establishing good spending habits today for your better tomorrow. For more information, visit Sentier.com/student-checking or visit your local branch. If you are under the age of 18, your parent or guardian must also sign on the Sentier student checking account. At the age of 25, your account will automatically convert to the Sentier checking account. You must deposit $25 to open this account. This account is not eligible for overdraft advantage. Member FDIC.
With electrical services from Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, you can radiate the perfect amount of light and energy into your home. From rewiring and code upgrades to ceiling fans, lighting, security, and more, Economy Electric Heating and Cooling's trained electricians will make sure you can enjoy your home on full power all the time. For a free estimate on electrical work, call Economy Electric Heating and Cooling at 219-923-4441, and you can visit them on the web at 4ajobdoneright.com. That's the number 4ajobdoneright.com.
Develop skills that will last for a lifetime with an apprenticeship with the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers Local 4, Indiana, Kentucky. The apprenticeship and training program is committed to developing highly skilled bricklayers, terrazzo workers, and ceramic tile setters to provide the construction industry with the best hands in the business. If you are currently working non-union and want better pay with benefits, or if you think learning a new skill with a paid apprenticeship while you earn your associate's degree is the right path for you, visit baclocal4.org/training to learn more about the apprenticeship program. Are you built to succeed?
For over 100 years, Burns Funeral Home and Crematory has been assisting families in their time of need. Serving Northwest Indiana, the staff at Burns Funeral Home will help guide your family in creating a meaningful ceremony. From a simple to elaborate to traditional or unique, the caring family at Burns Funeral Home will tailor a ceremony to fit your needs. And for your other loved ones, Burns Funeral now has a pet cemetery and crematory. Visit burnsfuneral.com or give them a call at 219-942-1117.
Now it's time to talk about our second game night built by Von Tobel here on the Quintel Kickoff Show in our Sentier Bank studio. It's going to be Lake Central, Crown Point, 7 p.m. at the Dog Pound. We'll be live 6:30 from Crown Point High School. Definitely two teams that are very familiar with one another. Another DAC rematch. We talked about our first game night built by Von Tobel with Michigan City and Velp. Well, Lake Central and Crown Point, it doesn't get any better than this. Two teams that just want to beat each other for bragging rights. For Lake Central, they suffered the L in the first meeting, 38-12. The Bulldogs won. That was at the Burial Ground, so right. Lake Central now makes its way to the Dog Pound. And for Lake Central, this is going to be probably the biggest test of the year, obviously. But I think what is, glass half full for them is it's probably the healthiest they're going to be all year. Xavier Williams is supposed to play. He played last week against Portage. He had, I believe, over 150 rushing yards and a touchdown, averaged about 9 yards per carry. Almost underestimated. He averaged 9 yards per carry. And Chase Kwiatkowski also came back. If you're wondering when was he hurt, during the Maryville game, he came out in about the second quarter, didn't return, and then he missed the whole Valpo game. So two star players are back for Lake Central. Now, if you go back to that first meeting between the Indians and the Bulldogs, Xavier Williams didn't play. It was Amarion Brooks, the backup running back, who was a starter in that game. For Lake Central, they were in that game up until the middle of the third quarter. I believe it was about 15-6. Lake Central scored right out of the gate in the second half, but then Crown Point, they just put their foot on the gas and really drove Lake Central out of the stadium. For the Bulldogs, it's the same thing we talk about every week. Just because they win and they dominate. Down 10-0 against the Bronchos last week, and all they do is just score 42 unanswered points. Larry Ellison has 283 rushing yards, which is a school record. Noah Ehrlich only completes 9 passes and still has 4 total touchdowns, and the defense only gives up 9 rushing yards and 23 attempts. And that's going to be the big story, in my opinion, the rushing defense of Crown Point against Xavier Williams, because we talk about that stat line, 9 rushing yards and 23 attempts. This is probably the best Crown Point offense or defense in school history. And you're going against one of the best running backs that Lake Central's had for sure, but also that we see in the region, Xavier Williams, the D1 commit going to Iowa. And we've talked about the knee injuries he's had to battle with throughout the year. Missed that first meeting against Crown Point, but he's going to come back in this one. Does that really change the outcome of this game, that your D1 running back comes back, or is this one going to be all Bulldogs?
Oh, I think it definitely helps. I'd say, again, what we saw in the first meeting, I did want to add, again, with what Lake Central did and what they had success against Crown Point a little bit in that first meeting, they were very balanced. That was kind of, again, the coming out party of Chase Kwiatkowski and that RPO offense. And, again, maybe giving a couple of carries to Marion Brooks, as well as finding a receiver over the middle, again, in that RPO, kind of keeping a balanced attack that gave that stifling Crown Point defense fits. But now when you have Xavier Williams, I think the key for LC is you can't really be, just a one-dimensional offense. Now that you have a toy like Xavier Williams in your backfield, you can't expect to hand him the ball every time and find success, because Crown Point, this defense is way too good. This team is way too talented to let one player beat them. And I think LC, they have to kind of keep that balanced attack they had in the first meeting and go from there. Again, it's very nice to have Xavier, though, in the backfield, and I expect him to definitely make this game a little bit closer than 38-12. I think that score wasn't very – it didn't really paint the picture of the full game. Yeah. I think LC played pretty well, and I think what Crown Point did in struggling in that game, from what I remember, they kind of beat themselves a little bit. Again, of course, they obviously came out on top, but this game could have been a lot further in score disparity. I remember Crown Point having a few touchdowns called back and just miscues, and I think with being 10 games in now, especially after that fantastic win from Crown Point last week, I think they're kind of more acclimated to, just playing solid football, disciplined football, and not losing that inner battle between themselves. So it's going to be a fun one. Again, rivalry schools,
absolutely.
Schools that are 20 minutes apart, I think, at least, and, conference foes. I think, again, it's going to be a good one.
We talked about
a lot of talent.
Statues have been harmed in the process of this rivalry over the years. But what's interesting, when the last time these two teams played, it was Larry Ellison's lowest rushing output, I believe, of the year. They really stopped him at the line. Noah Ehrlich had to do it all by himself, him and Landon Delich. Ellison, he couldn't find any holes. The Lake Central defense really swarmed him. And for Lake Central, that RPO offense really worked against Crown Point, better than anything I've seen against Crown Point over the course of this year. Now, probably other than the Velpo game, Lake Central, I think, is the second team that has been able to drive down the field somewhat consistently against this Bulldog defense, because you and I were at that game. And
right.
Chase Kwiatkowski, he did a great job with those reads, knowing when to keep the ball himself, knowing when to pull it back and make a quick throw. And that's what I was really impressed with coming out of that game, was his ability to read the defense like that. And I believe he had about over 60 rushing yards and
he's a tough runner.
over 100 passing yards. So, against a Crown Point defense that is so stifling, for Chase Kwiatkowski to look, and maybe that wasn't the most successful game. I'm sure Chase will tell you, look, I played terrible that game. But from our perspective and how Crown Point has looked this year, they had the second most points anyone has scored against them.
Right.
Obviously 12 isn't a lot, but still they were able to find something in that defense. And I remember we talked to Chase Kwiatkowski before the game, and he was very confident in the game against Crown Point. Now they lost, but he said that he saw some things on film that he believed opened some things up, and it did. So I'm going to be interested to see how that matchup is. You talked about Xavier Williams. Now, they were one-dimensional in that game against Portage, and that probably had to do with the weather, because they had 43 carries. Chase Kwiatkowski only completed one pass for 7 yards. But this is one of those games where it is a rivalry. It's very close, like you said, 20 minutes away from each other. That away stand will be packed.
For sure.
The home stand will be packed, and we're going to be part of it. It's our game night built by Von Tobel. Lake Central at Crown Point. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock at the Dog Pound, but we'll be live at 6:30, and where you can view that, it's going to be on ihsatv.org. We have been posting the link periodically throughout the day. Click that link, and it'll take you straight to the game. But once again, we'll be live at about 6:30, and kickoff is slated for 7 o'clock. We have one more game night built by Von Tobel, which is just about to start, but we're going to talk about it after the break here in the Quintel Kickoff Show in our RSN Bank studios. You're watching us on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Growing up in Northwest Indiana, I am proud that my family's been doing business here for nearly 100 years, which started with my grandfather, John Gladish. Over my career, I've witnessed families being torn apart by the negligence of others, and everything from unguarded openings at construction sites to reckless driving on our roads. Our experienced attorneys, paralegals, and staff know that insurance companies and their lawyers will go to great lengths to avoid paying compensation. Do not waste your one and only opportunity to seek fair compensation for your loss. Give the Gladish Law Group a call and put our team to work for you.
Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso is a leader in athletics apparel and equipment sales. With in-house production including screen printing, trophies, embroidery, and more, Blythe's can help you to create the perfect look. For more information, visit them online at teamblythes.com. Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso, where the athletes shop.
Centrally located in downtown Indianapolis, the Hampton Inn is just steps away from Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Situated at 105 South Meridian Street, shopping, restaurants, entertainment, and many Indianapolis attractions are in near proximity. Hampton Inn has much to offer, including a hot breakfast, high-speed internet access in every room, as well as a gym fitness center. For reservations, the number is 317-261-1200. The website is hamptonin3.hilton.com. Hampton Inn, Indianapolis, downtown.
Finishing up the Quintel Kickoff Show in our RSN Bank studios, we're going to talk about our third game night built by Von Tobel, which is just about to start. Handover Central at West Lafayette will be live on site at about 6 p.m. Central Time. Kickoff is slated for 6:30. This is a really good one. We talked about it on Region Football Weekly last night. Two pretty even teams. You know, they've only met once in their history, and that was last year's sectional championship where the Red Devils ended the Wildcat season at Hanover High School. So Handover Central now a chance to kind of flip the switch and do what the Red Devils did to them, end their season on Red Devil territory. It's going to be a far bus ride for those Wildcats, but for Handover Central, this is a really good football team. Going into this matchup undefeated once again. When these two teams met last year, actually, they were both undefeated. And two great coaches you kind of honed on a little bit, Brian Parker, Shane Fry. Shane Fry has actually won a state title with these Red Devils before, so he's had a lot of success with this football team. In fact, in his 11 years, he has never coached a team with more than 3 losses.
Interesting.
West Lafayette, they have 3 losses right now.
Hey, could be
so
today.
for that story to stay true, they would have to run the table, go all the way to Lucas Oil. But they've got the team to do that, and it starts with their quarterback, Carson Kitchell, the senior, has been electric for them this year. Overall, 30 total touchdowns, 5 interceptions. But the real stat is how he plays when they win and when they lose. Now, West Lafayette, like we said, they have 3 losses on the year, and those opponents in those 3 losses are a combined record of 29-2. But this is a stat that's really going to tell us which Carson Kitchell we get and which Red Devil team we'll get. In wins for the Red Devils, Carson Kitchell has thrown 24 touchdowns and no interceptions. But in losses, he's thrown 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So when you're able to, you know, get Carson Kitchell worried at the line and make him make turnovers, that's when you're going to get the best of him. For Handover Central, they've got a defense that can do it, but going back to the Red Devils, this is a team that likes to spread the ball out. Dawson Martin is a huge junior running back. He's been over 1,000 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns. He's got 5 games with 2 touchdowns or more. Benny Speaker has been huge as a wideout, and Carson's twin brother, Cooper Kitchell, has been huge as well. I don't know how many times you see twins.
It's a family affair. Boone Grove's got a pair too.
Yeah, they do actually. Yep. So we'll see if they can use that twin telepathy.
There you go.
On the field.
They probably do, man.
Tonight.
It's a real thing from what I hear.
For Handover Central, though, this is a team that we're accustomed to talking about just because they've been in our RSN top 5 for basically the whole year. Caden Verrett has been a touchdown leading scorer in the region. 304 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns last week. Matt Kuntz, the senior quarterback, he was the starter for that loss last year, so he definitely knows what that felt like. He's trying to change that. And Dylan Bowen, obviously the little brother of Drake Bowen, who's now at Notre Dame, he's had himself a sensational year. And just, you want to talk about sensational games, go back to last week against Boone Grove. 5 tackles. He also had 2 catches for 24 yards, 3 interceptions, and a touchdown. He was doing it all on the field. The defense forced 5 turnovers off a really good Boone Grove team. It's their 4th straight sectional championship matchup. We talked about how last year these two teams faced off. I'm excited for this one. I'm glad it's one of our game nights built by Von Tobel. Can't believe it's about to start for us, but two teams that I kind of how we talked about Crown Point and Lafayette Jefferson. Two teams, look, they're not really familiar with one another. They've only played once, but maybe a building rivalry just because of how big these games are when they play each other. I mean, two games in this history, both are going to be the sectional championship. We talked about how Handover Central's undefeated season ended last year. Can that happen again this year, or will the Wildcats finally change the script a little bit and get on the regionals?
I mean, going off of my pick from yesterday's show, I think that Hanover gets their revenge. But yeah, like you said, this is kind of a budding rivalry. Honestly, being similar to Lafayette Jefferson and Crown Point. I mean, these are the two best teams in their sectionals from year on out. We saw that last year. Again, very similar to the game we saw last week with the Bulldogs and the Bronchos. But yeah, I mean, I think with what you're saying about West Lafayette, and I completely agree on it's this whole game. I mean, what defense can make a couple more plays? We have two very experienced senior quarterbacks, similar to that Valpo and City matchup. Both guys that know what it takes, that can perform at a high level, and these are guys that we could be seeing on Saturdays pretty shortly in a year time. So that's definitely a matchup to really look out for. Again, Matt Kuntz versus Carson Kitchell, but it's all about the defenses. Both these defenses forced over 4 turnovers in their respective matchup last week, and I'm expecting a few more. Whether it's fumbles or whatnot, who knows if that was the weather playing into part last week. But nonetheless, we're expecting some defensive guys to make some plays, and I think a name to look out for is Dylan Bowen, the sophomore. Again, he's got those genetics. His brother knows a thing or two about making a player or five in a sectional game, and I think Dylan Bowen maybe could snag a pick today. But nonetheless, I think Hanover, again, this is bulletin board material. We mentioned about Crown Point. These guys have circled this game since the drawing come out, and I bet they were ecstatic to see that they'd meet these guys in the sectional final and at their home turf. So, I mean, I'm liking Hanover, but for West Lafayette, you just get both teams, really. You got to take care of the ball. You got to set yourself up for success. And, I mean, whatever the more disciplined team is tonight, which we're expecting both with these two fantastic head coaches, but whatever team could really, again, not beat themselves, I think they'll walk away with some hardware.
Brought a great point about defense just because for the Red Devils of West Lafayette, they have 3 guys with 10 sacks or more. So this is a Red Devil defense that has been prolific as well. And both teams, I mean, are so good at scoring the ball on offense and causing havoc and forcing turnovers on defense. It's really, I mean, if you go back to last week, these defenses forced a combined 9 turnovers in their games last week. West Lafayette had 4 and Hanover Central forced 5. So you talk about teams forcing turnovers. You have 2 senior quarterbacks who are ready to lead the helm and really try to lead a team to regionals. It's as good as a game can get. We obviously talk about the big dogs and Crown Point, Lake Central, Maryville, Morton, Valpo, Michigan City. But this is one of those games where you have one of those quarterback matchups you look forward to. Yeah. You have a running back matchup you look forward to. And it's the defenses as well. These aren't teams that score 50 points and give up 40 points. No, these are teams that score about 40, 45 points a game and only give up about 13, 15 points a game. So it's really about, if you're able to bend but not break, you're going to be more successful, but it's going to be which team breaks first.
Yeah, it's why they're here. But, yeah, these quarterbacks, I think they're both, as well as they could spin the rock and throw the ball to their talented receivers, I think these guys are going to have to improvise a little bit tonight. We got 2 fantastic D-lines and a lot of great secondary pieces that can make plays on the ball. So we got to see what quarterback makes plays with his legs. I know both these quarterbacks, I think, have over 4 touchdowns just on the ground. I want to say Kuntz is in double digits. Absolutely, so he's kind of more the prolific runner, but don't be sleeping on Carson Kitchell getting outside of the pocket and trying to avoid that pass rush. So, again, it's a lot of next-level talent. Yeah. Again, we're always happy to be a part of it here at Region Sports.
Yeah, it's a great point. For Carson Kitchell, they don't really design run plays for him. He's more of staying in the pocket, and he has to extend the play. He will, but they will design plays for Matt Kuntz to run right out of the pocket. They trust him with the football in his hands. Brian Parker has spoke so highly about him and his leadership over the years, and the fact that you have a dual-threat quarterback like him. I'm curious to see how much they'll let him throw the ball and how much they'll let them run the ball, because you also do have Caden Barrett, who just is coming off a 300-yard performance game. But that game is literally about to start. It's our game night built by Von Tobel. It's on ihsatv.org. How do you view that? We'll go to our link we've been posting periodically throughout the day. That's all 3 of our links for all 3 of our game night built by Von Tobels. Hanover Central at West Lafayette, which is just about to start. You have Lake Central at Crown Point, which will be live at 6:30, kickoff at 7. And you have Michigan City at Velp. That one, again, going live at 6:30, but kickoff is slated for 7. And all the games we talked about earlier in the show you can view on our hometown scoreboard, courtesy of our friends from Strack and Van Til. That will be going on through our Facebook and YouTube page throughout the night and tomorrow morning. So if you're looking for other scores that aren't our game night built by Von Tobel's, stay tuned to that hometown scoreboard, courtesy of friends from Strack and Van Til. It's up to date, and our man Daryl Skibinski is getting those scores as fast as flash out there. So a big thank you to Skibs always for doing those scores for us throughout the year. But that's going to do it for the Quintel Kickoff Show. Any final words, Mike?
Let's do it, man. Let's hand out some trophies, man.
Another week in the books?
I think I said that a couple times already, so we'll scratch that. But, yeah, let's hand out some trophies. And for those region teams, best of luck to all performing with region teams. Put NWI on the map tonight. Yeah. Let's do it.
Well, big thank you to Mike. Big thank you to our producer, Zach Zanelli, once again, about to go live from West Lafayette for Hanover Central and West Lafayette. But this is the Quintel Kickoff Show at the Centurion Bank Studios on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.